So resizing a VirtualBox VM. We've got a slight problem here in the sense we've got a VM that's running. We can see its C drive. Its virtual C drive is down to 6.47 gigabytes, and if I want to put anything in there substantial, then I'd have a problem, a Houston. So I need to resize this, perhaps. Particularly as this is Windows, that's a very good idea before you start putting anything on there like Office. So we need to get through and resize that, so I'm going to shut that down and let that go through its shutdown. As ever, there's always something to update. It must be Windows, so we'll let that do that in the meantime. There we go. We can see that that particular machine is now powered off. That's a Win 7 Pro, 64-bit, as it would be. Good. If we're going to have a look at storage, we can see that there's actually a VMDK drive sitting on there, and we can certainly see that. We can see where it's located here. So that's sitting in there, and we could go in and remove that now, but that would be a very foolish idea because that is in fact our hard drive operating system and all the rest of it for that virtual machine. Well, it's switched off, so we can go and do other things then. So first things first, perhaps what we should do is go and have a look at that particular directory. We can see that on my machine we can see that it's a VirtualBox VMs, and we can see Win 7 Pro 64, and we can indeed see that VMDK Disk is sitting there. So this is the place that we need to navigate to, and then we'll see that listed any old how. So let's start the ball rolling, as they say. So we're currently in the C drive, so let's move out of the C drive, and of course off we go. And of course what we're looking at here is we're looking to get through to the same drive as our machine, so we're looking at users, hit the tab on that, and then we're looking at myself, and then we're looking at VirtualBox. And if that's not right, then keep going through to get to the right one. Yep, VirtualBox VMs, that's correct. I just hit the tab key there to get through the various options. Hit the tab key again, Win 10, Win Pro 64, that's the right one. And we're using DIR, of course, which revert back to Linux. But here we are, correct this time. So Win 7 Pro 64 disk1.vmdk. So that's the beastie that we want to go and change its size. Now the program that we're going to be using here is part of Oracle's commands, and in particular we're going to use the VBoxManage part of that. Now they reside in the programs files under Oracle and VirtualBox, so that's subdirectories from there, which we'll see in a moment. And then we'll see the VBoxManage, and we'll see some of the options. There's quite a few options that we can see in there. Right, so we're in the right directory. Just want to just see that if we can. So C, and then what I find is the best way to do this is to make your way through, sort of start typing program files. That's fine, slash. And then we want Oracle, so OR probably. Yep, that's enough. Slash VirtualBox. Yep, VIR was enough. Hit the tab key each time, and we're seeing that. So we're going into this particular directory and VBox. Now I can start hitting the tab key and see which one's got auth. That's not it. No. Balloon. No. Bug report. No. Keep going. Keep going. Need some M's. If you go past, of course, you can always go back by shifting it back. So there we go, VBoxManage, and that's the one I'm after. Now I'm going to put a help at the end of that, and we can see that there's a number of options in here that we can support using VBoxManage. That's probably requiring of a more function rather than relying upon scrolling back up. Okay, not a problem. That's the ones that we're interested in at this moment in time. Now, first things first, perhaps what we could do with doing is we could list the hard disk drives, and then we'd see the hard disk drives that are available to us. Now, in a first machine, an early machine, you probably only got one machine, one virtual machine, so you're only going to have one virtual hard drive. But as you can see, we've got quite a few listed here. So I might be interested in, say, particular types. So if we use the find function, and then what we're looking for, which has to match, so VMDK would be a file format. There are in fact 4 file formats that we could come across in the virtualized world. There's those within the whole Mac fraternity with the sort of parallels hard disk drive, I think it is HDD. There's the VMDK, which is the virtual machine disk, which is these that are listed. That will work in Oracle, but that's really comes from VMware, VMware workstations and the like. The format that's native to Oracle, if we just see if there's any listed, is the VDI format. So we can modify the find, and we should be able to find some of those. And those are the formats that can be resized. So I can resize the VDIs, but I can't resize the VMDKs. I'd probably have to go to VMware to do that rather than in Oracle. Oh, by the way, the final sort of in the set of 4 different types of hard drives that you might come across is the virtual hard drive, which is ready for Microsoft's virtual PC. So we'll really see VMDK or VDI as we can see on the screen. So what are we looking for here? Well, we're looking for the machine that we're actually interested in changing is that WinPro 64. So if I try and find that instead, so obviously we have to be quite precise in what we're typing, but it should find a variant. Now I have been playing and it should find 2 variants. One that is rather bizarrely a Windows 10. Yes, I've cloned and created a Windows 10, and the other one is a Win 7 Pro 64 VMDK. Indeed it is here, it is listed. Right. Now the virtual machine is not running, which is a good thing. So whilst we're in this directory, which is remember is the directory of the actual virtual machine itself, so this is other folders associated with it, not least that VMDK file. That's the one that we're going to convert. So here we are. We've got our the correct folder, which is a good place to start. And we need to make sure we're running the right command, remember. So we're back to that, and we've got them. If we go back through the command history, which is always good, we've got that VBoxManage. We know it's been running, we know it's executing correctly because we've used the list hard disk drive command to see what's actually out there. So we know that command works. What we're actually after here is the clone version. So it's a clone hard disk drive, and we're going to clone that WinPro 64 VMDK. So I'm just copying that in from another source. We can paste that in here. And I'm doing that just to make sure that we're absolutely correct. I could paste it again actually, and then just change the end to VDI. So that's nice and dandy, he says, hopefully. Then it's the format. The format that I want is VDI, of course, and variant standard. Now this is after many attempts over the time that we've been playing with this to actually get this to work. So fingers crossed, hey. And let's see, what we're looking for it to start counting up. There we go, good. That's always a good sign. It's not the end of the world yet, but it's always a good sign. So we should come back and see that once it's got up to 100%. Getting closer now. 60% and rising. You have to remember, of course, there was some 30 gigs worth of space to copy across, so we're doing a big file copy really, as well as a format change. So 70% still going. Right, that's done. Now notice this, we've actually got this UUID at the end, and that's actually declaring that unique ID for that clone. So if we were to go back and look for disks with that name, so we're listing the hard drives, we're just filtering on Win 7 Pro 64. I remember we've got that Windows 10 one, which we'll ignore. And then what we've got sitting alongside this is we've got this VMDK file sitting in there, WinPro 64 Disk 1 VMDK. We've got a VDI file, but it's not our file, right? So we have to look at what have we got here, in the sense of, if we look at the command that we used to create that file. So if we go down to that, we can see that what we've got here is our Win 7 Pro 64 Disk 1 VDI. So that should be listed as well, but it's not in use. So we haven't sort of attached it. It's there, but it's not been attached to a particular VM. So it does exist, which we can sort of find if we come out of there. And what we can do, of course, is dir, and we can see that we've now got the two disks in play. Okay, so what we really need to do is we need to go back to Oracle's VirtualBox Manager and look at the settings for that Win 7 Pro 64, and we can see, as I've highlighted this, we're into the right area. Come up to storage, and we can see that the storage currently is this VMDK. So what we could do is we could add a storage to this. So onto the SATA, let's add not a CD, or DVD, which is the first one, add a disk drive, which is the second of those. Choose an existing disk, and we can see we're in the right file. And of course we've got a choice. We're not in the right file. We nearly were in the right file. We are in the right file. We can see we've got a choice of two. So out of the two, we want to use the VDI, the one that we've just created, but we also want to remove that VMDK. So this is where we're actually going to delete that using the remove option at the bottom here. That now is attached, that VDI, as the main drive to that particular machine. So the VDI is, there's no change in size yet, there's just a change in format. So that's job done. That's the new drive for that particular VM. So if we repeat the hard disk drive list command, we go listing and looking for the Win 7 Pro 64. Let's see what we've got listed now. Top. It's a big list, remember. Here we go. So what we've actually got this time is we've got a Disk 1 VMDK and we've got a Disk 1 VDI. Interesting. That's because the VMDK is still listed. Now there is a mechanism whereby I should close and then delete that from VBoxManager. So I haven't done that. I've just removed it as far as the sort of GUI is concerned. So we can now see we've got this new one that is now known to VBoxManager. Okay, good. Right. So what we could do is we could get and remove and delete that one. So just check it's in the right directory. Same directory. Yes, it is. It's the old VMDK. So let's remove that using the appropriate command. So as we said, it's one of the VBoxManage commands. So let's get that back on command history. It's close medium, and it's for a particular disk. And the disk in question is the Win 7 Pro 64 Disk 1. And we're looking at the VMDK, and we want to remove that. So check we're all done. So close medium, disk Win 7 Pro 64 -disk 1 .vmdk and delete. Okay, so if we now do the list, just bring that back up, sorry. There it is, stepped over it. And we can see whether or not it's now listed. It has been successful in deletion. Let's see if it is indeed listed. Okay, so we just got a couple of VDIs, which is spot on. That's exactly what we wanted. So we've now removed that drive, both sort of physically in the virtual world and also from VBoxManage as well. So it's not going to get confused thinking things are out there when indeed they are not. So reverting back to story, and really what we're interested in doing now, of course, is increasing the size. Remember, we only had about 6.5 gigabytes worth of space, and I want to increase that to something more reasonable. So I want to increase that to perhaps something of the order of another 20 gigs. You know, in a Windows world, that's not a small amount. That's a reasonable amount. Okay, so first of all, remembering of course where we start here. We're starting at around about 30, so we're going to increase it by 20. So let's give it 50 gigs to be on the safe side. So that will actually mean that we've got a reasonable size as far as that particular drive is concerned. So the command that we're actually looking for here again is part of the VBoxManage, but we're going to use the modify HD variant of that command. So let's go and whip back. So we're doing modify hard disk drive. So we're looking at resizing it, and we're going to resize it to an appropriate size. Remember, we're going to go to 50 gigs, so that's 50,000. Yes, you can work out the units there. So it's Win 7 Pro. We're looking at the old 64. It is indeed disk 1 because that's what I called it. Why did I make it so long when my typing is so bad today? So that's entirely up for us, of course, and hit return. So this is now going to make that space bigger. It's not going to use it fully yet. To do that, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to come back inside the VM. There we go. It's ready, and it's ready to rock and roll. So let's get the VM up and running. And in fact, if you were to interrogate the storage now, you'll see that the storage, as far as we're concerned, has a virtual size of 50 gigs, but has an actual size of 26. That's the usable is the actual at this moment in time, and that's because we need to go in and repartition, change that partition, make it usable. So we're going to use a particular partition tool. If this was a Linux machine, then you'd probably just use gparted. You've got the old gparted that it works perfectly well. Very, very easy to use. We're going to rely upon another tool, which is in the bag, which I get from EASEUS. So I shall pull that across, and we shall be using that to use up the rest of that drive, just to prove the point. If we go into the computer, you can see that we've still only got 6.11 gigabytes free. We've lost some along the way, but there we go. Okay, so using the Partition Master, so we can get this for the purposes of increasing the size of this. Is my own machine, so give it a whirl. Okay, so we can see what we've got here. We've got our main partition here, of course, which is our C. So let's resize that. Let's resize that up to the max, and OK that. Click on apply. Yes to do that. Absolutely. So let it do its stuff. And we'll revisit that once it's finished and rebooted. There it goes, it's shutting down. So on a successful reboot, that should be up and running. A little bit more work to do with gparted, just a sequence of things that you need to do. But look out, and I shall do that on another video. So we'll just wait for our machine to come back up. So there we go, that's the partition master going through the process of completing its exercises, and away it goes again. Now it's just popping back up again following that second reboot. We're done, and here we go. So here we are. Let's just log on and let's see what we've been left with. So if we have a look, and let's have a look on the computer, let's have a see. Oh, there we go, that line's moved down significantly. We have some space to play with. That space will be filled up rather rapidly. Probably. Good. See you on the next one.